Hello, Steve. Hello, Jill. It's time to game classy.
Bonjour, Steve.
Buongiorno.
Grazie. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Grazie.
Grazie. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Do we know any other Italian?
Pizza. Lasagna.
I believe it's pronounced lasagna.
Pasta fazool.
Pastafazool. Fagioli.
Gabagool.
Gabagool. Hey, gabagool, right? I'm sorry. I might be a little distracted this cast because one of my group texts is talking about how awesome Obi-Wan is, and I just kind of let them have it. Now I'm awaiting the blowback for my statements. So
very good.
It does happen in that situation. You will get the blowback.
I appreciate you fighting the good fight.
I mean, the problem is okay. I'm gonna let you have my opinions on this one. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a perfect example of like how we don't need to know anything that's going on in that story because it's all been explained in the original Star Wars, right?
Right. Yes. It's entirely pointless.
It's like showing everything that gives you all of the mystical wonder of the original A New Hope. So like, we know Obi-Wan Kenobi trained Darth Vader, right? We learned that in Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
And Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker, his apprentice. Yes. And
yes.
in the New Hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi, an old man, goes to fight Darth Vader on the Death Star, and he's killed and becomes one with the Force, right?
Yes.
Super interesting, and you're like, wow, like it's an emotional moment because like Obi-Wan Kenobi is come to peace with himself, and he he does all that stuff and everything like that. And then in Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm just going to say this, spoiler alert for those who have not watched it, but I figure at this point, if you haven't watched it, whatever.
Yeah, you probably don't care to watch it if you haven't watched it.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it, you probably don't care to watch it. And if you care to watch it, you probably already have watched it. But anyway, right. So Darth Vader shows up on, this planet to fight Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they have a fight. Like this is in between, episode 3 and episode 4. So, when Darth Vader says, "When I last left you, I was but a learner. Now I am the master," right? It's like that whole line means fucking nothing now because he is an apprentice when he met him in this episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Obi-Wan Kenobi basically gets the shit kicked out of him. So it's not like it doesn't really jibe, right?
Right.
It makes no fucking sense. And
then, I mean, let's be fair. The Star Wars canon has been completely obliterated since Jedi. Like if you as soon as we walked away from the first 3 movies, like the original trilogy, the canon is obliterated. The prequels obliterated the canon, and then the double sequels further obliterated the canon. Now the TV shows are obliterating the canon. So like it doesn't matter. Like none of it matters.
Yes, no, Steve, it does matter. It does. Because technically there is a Star Wars canon. Like you might say that.
If there is.
And then on top of it, you have the whole plot is like, I thought for sure, like I think everyone did, that the plot was going to be like Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of like protecting Luke from the shadows, right? Mm-hmm. Like I thought for sure it was going to be like some people are kind of figuring out that Luke has some sort of Jedi abilities and they're going to try and take him or whatever, right? For the Emperor, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi has to kind of work in the shadows to protect him. Perfect small story encapsulated on Tatooine, makes sense inside the canon. You don't have to have any sort of interaction. It's just old Ben Kenobi like fucking being the man with no name, taking out these Jedi hunters or whatever have you. But instead, it's about like Leia gets kidnapped from Alderaan, pre-blown up, and he's got to go help and rescue her from these kidnappers, one of which is played by Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Star of Back to the Future Part 2 and 3, as well as The Chase, the great Christmas Swanson.
And he also takes a bowling ball to the nuts in Big Lebowski.
Lebowski, he's one of the nihilists. Yes, it's not
You're
fair.
nihilist, Lebowski. We don't care about anything.
It's not fair. She cut off a toe.
Not fair.
Not fair. But yeah, so Leia is kidnapped. And first of all, Leia is supposed to be 10 years old at this point, and she looks like she's 6. Because trust me, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she is a giant oaf in comparison to this girl that is in Obi-Wan Kenobi. This little tiny, like, she looks like she's honestly 6. But I mean, she could be 10 for all I fucking know. But anyway, but then that doesn't make any sense, because remember in fucking New Hope, what did she say? Obi-Wan Kenobi, you served my father during the Clone Wars. It's not, hey, Obi-Wan Kenobi, remember when you rescued me from the fucking kidnappers?
Yeah, it's okay. It's the same problem that fucking Star Trek had and then has progressively gotten worse, where like the writers can't do anything new. They just have to do 2 things. One, they dick ride nostalgia, and two, they are obsessed with just doing prequels, like doing shit that's already been talked about. So they set up situations where there was like so much shit that it was like already established. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Enterprise. I like that show Enterprise, but that show like fucks up a lot of the established Star Wars canon, because like there was a bunch of stuff that like was already established, like this thing happened like in Star Trek, and then like Enterprise happens, is like, well, actually the thing that they said happened, it was actually this dude Archer, who's like the best fucking person ever.
Yeah.
so like and that's you know, that's the start of the problem. And now you have what, there's like 3 concurrent prequel series going on right now for Star Trek. And it's the same problem. It's the same problem that Star Wars is having. Like all this Obi-Wan shit, the reason it's stupid and the reason that the stuff is, it's because they're trying to, like, the story was already established. So it's like I said, I handed you a red apple. Like, here, Joe, here's a red apple. And you're like, thank you for this red apple. And then like, you know, we do the Game Classy episode 200 or whatever prequel, and I'm like, yes, Joe, do you remember when I handed you the golden pear and you went on a quest?
No. What it would be is you hand me the apple, and then, you know, 20 years down the line, there's an entire episode of something dedicated to the backstory of that apple, about how it was essential to the rebellion or some shit like that.
Yes, and then it's also green. It's not red.
Well, yeah, it would be green, and then everyone would be like, "But the apple was red."
Yes.
And by the way, Admiral Captain Archer's prize beagle, you know, Porthos. Pour one out for Porthos, because remember, he got transported in the Kelvin timeline.
Fuck the Kelvin timeline. Fuck J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams sucks. He managed to destroy 2 of the best sci-fi franchises out there. Well, arguably one was already pretty destroyed by George Lucas, but he didn't help.
Yes, but you know, in all fairness, like, that beagle was cute. Who didn't love Porthos?
I love Porthos. Yeah, Porthos was the best.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, but that's the issue that I'm having with this. It's like, why did The Mandalorian do so well, Steve? Oh, well, The Mandalorian didn't deal with any sort of previous Star Wars canon. Right, there was like there was a little bit with like some things, but in that first season of The Mandalorian, it was just like, hey, here's a new fucking story done in the Star Wars universe that has nothing to do with anything else. Just enjoy the ride. And we all did, and we were like, fuck yeah, Mandalorian. And then they're like, okay, well, here's fucking Boba Fett, and we're like, oh, okay, well, this show's kind of terrible, and it deals with a lot of stuff.
The book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, okay, you know, fine, whatever, you know, have you on this one. And then it was like, now it's like Obi-Wan. It's like, remember berries? Remember this?
That's the thing too. Like, if you want to do like, if you are dead set in doing like something in the past of your canon, that's fine. Really, just don't have it affect any of your already told stories. Like,
well, yeah, exactly.
like the Lord of the Rings is a great example where like there's tons of stuff that you could talk about in Lord of the Rings, and you do not have to do anything that involves rewriting anything about Sauron, anything about the Fellowship.
But Peter Jackson literally did the opposite of that with The Hobbit, including Legolas into that whole adventure.
Let's
Your point was destroyed, Steve.
Let's dial it back a second here. The Lord of the Rings films are far different. I would actually argue that the Lord of the Rings films are different in like, and I'm including the Hobbit in this too. Hobbit and the original Jackson trilogy, they're different enough from the books where I would actually argue that they're their own thing. Because like one of the biggest examples is like Aragorn in the movies, like and in many cases, Peter Jackson's changes are, in my opinion, quite positive. Like Aragorn is a much better character. His arc is much better in the movie than in the books.
Yeah.
He's vastly.
I'm not getting your point. You're kind of going a little off skew. You're not really making too much sense. Are you saying what you're saying is that the Lord of the Rings books are a good example of that? However, the movies are not. But
no. So what I'm saying,
are all written by one person in a state.
What I'm saying is, if you write a Lord of the Rings book, you should follow the book canon. And if you make a Lord of the Rings movie, you should follow the movie canon.
That makes no sense on either direction, because the books can't be written by anybody else because they're owned by the Tolkien estate.
Then there you go. Then you don't write Lord of the Rings books.
Well, I don't think you should. I think that Star Wars should just literally focus on anything else than what has been established in the movies. Just focus on anything else. You want to do a Hutt who wants to open up a tea shop? Fuck yeah, let's watch that. That also was like not really my point at all with the Lord of the Rings. My point of the Lord of the Rings was, if you're doing something set in the past of the Lord of the Rings, you don't need to have it affect any of the already written shit. Yeah,
like if you're doing stuff 1,000 years before The Hobbit, don't have the stuff that you are writing about that you're making up that's new affect things in The Hobbit that's already been written.
Yeah, I guess, but except for the fact that shit like that's already happened.
Where?
Yeah, in the Lord, literally in The Hobbit, they included Legolas in there.
That's not the same thing. I said 1,000 years before the events of The Hobbit. There's completely different things we're talking about. You're talking about an adaptation of The Hobbit, an adaptation of a story that's already been told. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a new story set in the past of the universe.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, there's like the Amazon show, but literally no one is allowed to write anything new in the Lord of the Rings universe. That's my point. It's like,
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. So I'm saying that's a positive thing. So I'm saying if you're writing a story that's like, you know what? There is actually a Star Wars example that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's perfect. The fucking Death Star plan capture movie, Rogue One.
Yeah.
That if you want to do a time capsuled story in an established canon, Rogue One nails it, because everyone shows up, they do their thing, they extrapolate on something that has, without changing what they said has happened. They expand upon said story, and then everyone dies. There's no loose ends. There's no like, well, this person escaped, and they might come back later. It's like, but if that person escaped, why didn't they show up in any of these other movies? Because they can't, because they're dead.
Like dead. So, except for the fact that Star Wars' next Disney Plus series is about Cassian Andor, one of the guys who died, the guy who died at the end of Rogue One. So they're doing an entire prequel series about this guy who died. So there you go.
I mean, I'm not going to say that they couldn't fuck it up further. I was just saying that as a standalone thing, what the example I was shooting for, Rogue One, as far as you know, is the only prequel series that does not rewrite anything. And I mean, I could be wrong. There's probably a mega Star Wars nerd who's like, well, actually, they used an RX-73 droid, and those weren't actually invented in the timeline. A clear oversight on your part. So like there might be something like that, but as far as I know, there's no significant canon adjustments that show or that movie did, and it's happening in a set past. Unlike Obi-Wan, where apparently he like has a fight with Darth Vader on Tatooine before they fight on the Death Star, which is insane. Because if Darth Vader
not
is
Tatooine, but sure.
Oh, okay, sure, whatever. I mean, I didn't watch it. I'm not watching that. Fucking Star Wars sucks. I don't watch Star Wars shit. So like, yes, that's a massive change, because that changes what happens to the characters, that changes their storylines, that also, like you said, renders their dialogue in A New Hope completely pointless, or pointless at worst, nonsensical at best.
Yep. That's a good way of putting it, but pointless at worst, nonsensical at best. I like that way of saying that. So let's get away from that, because this whole Obi-Wan thing, it's like, and the sad thing is, Steve, it's a good show. Like, it is very good production value, and it's directed very well, but it's stupid.
There really are not a lot of like, one thing I've noted, and even in stuff that I very much dislike or I think is really stupid, generally, from a technical standpoint, everyone kind of has it down.
There's
big misses, but I think big misses are pretty blatant.
Yeah. I mean, my whole thing is there's two things. There's writing and directing. Like, yes, there's editing and other stuff like that, and that can be done incredibly well. But I think most editing takes from the Paul Greengrass route and just goes with crazy shaky cams and lots of cuts nowadays. But that also depends on how bad your fight choreography is. Besides the point, let's stick it to just directing and, well, acting too. But let's just throw that out for a second. Directing and writing. The directing of Obi-Wan is very good. The writing of Obi-Wan is very good, but when you look at something that's a franchise show, the writing has to make sense within the franchise, and the writing doesn't make any sense with that. Like, I like that
the story doesn't make any sense. The story is bad, is what you're saying.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, the story is nonsensical. It renders much of the stuff that happens later moot, and it's kind of stupid. I just like that. Like, help me. Would you serve my father during the Clone Wars? First of all, he didn't serve her father during the Clone Wars. Her father kind of helped out around the back end of the deal, and also Obi-Wan literally helped her out when she was 10 years old for an entire adventure. So it's you should make comment on that.
Her father wore a funny hat on Naboo.
No, her father. Oh, well, her actual father was with Darth Vader.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Bail Organa did not wear a funny hat on Naboo. Her mother wore a funny hat on Naboo. Her father.
No, I thought Organa with the goatee. I thought he was I thought he was fighting on Naboo, but he had like one of the big poofy hats.
No, that's Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smits plays Bail Organa. Come on. Star of NYPD Blue seasons, I think 3 through 9.
I could have sworn he was in one of the goofy hats.
No, I don't know what you're thinking.
I'm upset now. I wanted Jimmy
Sipowicz. Are you thinking Sipowicz?
Maybe I'm thinking Sipowicz.
All right. Let's talk gaming stuff. I know you're excited to talk about the video games for Star Wars, the ones that they just talked about.
Yeah.
The if you hear Queen in the background, that's my wife cleaning upstairs. So.
Here we are.
No, not that.
The kings.
So Warhammer did a thing called Warhammer Skulls, the Festival of Video Games.
Yes, I believe this is the second or third time they've done it. I know they've done it more than once.
Yes. So let's just go through that. We'll go through them one by one. I'm just going to go starting from the top to bottom. There was Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, which is I'm not 100% sure of what it is.
It looks like so it's a card game. It's 100% a card game.
Yeah.
But what it is, it looks like an updated version. They currently have a card game, which is what the fuck is it?
You're talking like an electronic card game, right?
Yeah. Wait. Say the name again, because all the names kind of blended together.
Darktide.
Darktide. Absolutely wrong. That's not what I thought. Darktide. Darktide looks dope as shit. Darktide is Vermintide, but 40K.
That's Vermintide. Okay, so that's the Necromunda Vermintide type thing, right?
Yes, I think you're actually an inquisitor. I think you're an inquisitorial.
Yeah, you're
squad.
you're an inquisitor, but you're going through like a hive city, right?
Yeah, because the characters, you can be an ogrin, you can be a tech priest, you can be. I think there's an inquisitor with like a thunderhammer, and then there's
Thunderhammer.
and then there's the assassinorium dude with the sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Those are the characters that are available to you to use for that. And
so 40K is finally getting a decent video game for the first time in a while.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Then we have Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader.
Yes, Rogue Trader looks solid.
It's a CRPG, which, you know, I had to explain to someone CRPG is computer RPG.
Yes.
Which is funny because he was like, what the fuck is CRPG? And I was like,
well, have you never played Baldur's Gate?
but the thing is no one ever calls them CRPGs.
Yeah,
like,
not since the 90s, really.
Yeah. Well, and not even in the 90s did they really call them CRPGs, because even in the 90s they were just called RPGs because no one cared about tabletop role playing. It wasn't until recently that tabletop role playing became popular enough that they had to go back to using the term CRPG. It's like saying like talk about like, oh, I listen to the radio. You mean you listen to like terrestrial radio? Well, what the fuck is terrestrial radio? It's the radio that you get in your car. It's not satellite radio or like internet radio. Well, there's a difference between them. And like, Jesus Christ, you fucking boomer. Learn. I've literally had to have that conversation with my sister before, and she was making fun of me. She was like, "Ooh, Mr. Terrestrial Radio, Mr. La Di Da," and I'm just like, and then sure enough, she said it like a couple years later, and then I called her back and she's like, "I don't remember ever saying that," and I'm like, "That's because I have the memory of a fucking elephant that never forgets." I take slights. I don't take slights. But yeah,
I put them in my book of grudges.
Yeah, it's the Book of Grudges. But Owlcat Studios doing it. And they did what was the other game that they did?
I don't know Owlcat, but I mean, if they did any of the recent banger CRPGs like the Pathfinder ones.
Yeah, they did the Pathfinder one.
Okay, yeah. then this should be really good because the Pathfinder ones are all very solid.
Yeah.
That's if you're looking for a random fantasy CRPG, you actually can't go wrong with the Pathfinder ones. They're very solid. They just straight up do the adventure paths for Pathfinder, which is pretty cool.
So yeah, it's a 40K style RPG, CRPG set in the world of Warhammer.
Yes, you play as you get to make. I don't know if you get to make your own character. I assume you do. I assume you get to make your own rogue trader, and you have like your posse. And you roll around and do rogue trader shit. That should be pretty fun. It's isometric, so that it looks right. Everything about it looks correct.
Next up is Total War Warhammer Immortal Empires, which is combining the maps of all three of the Total War games to have one mega game.
Possibly the grandest campaign ever seen in a video game.
The grandest game.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll also fix the problems that people were having with the launch version, because you remember you said that I remember
totally. Yeah, it was
just stuffed.
Well, yeah, they were saying it was just rushed. Like it doesn't feel fun. It feels like a slog. I think part of the complaining after like we talked about this last time and going through it, it looks like a lot of the complaining of the game was based on it just like the races weren't fun to play. Okay. I guess I think that was part of it too, is like, yeah, playing Chaos Demons is a little fun, but it's like everything else is like there's no real like. In my opinion, I think a lot of the fun people had was because the races that were talked about in the original Total War games all were very established and memey, right? So like the dwarves are all like, that's going in the book sort of thing, right? And it fits because there's a lot of established canon about the memery of these races.
Makes sense.
And so you have Cathay, and it's like Cathay has never been written about ever in the games. And like Kislev, you get a little bit of that, but it's like you don't get too much in like with a lot of that stuff. Some people really like it. Some people are just bored with it. But I think Immortal Empires seems like a really cool addition. So you could finally play all of this fucking shit. Like,
yeah, that'll probably be good. But like I said, if I remember correctly, the launch versions of all the Total Wars were always kind of like and then they get better fast. So yeah, it's likely will be there. So I mean, that's good. Look forward to it. If you're a Total War fan, should be something good to do.
Yeah. If you have a computer that can play Total War.
I do.
Well, I do too, and still not even that great on my computer.
No,
Well, now that
I
crypto's
managed to
crashed, maybe we can get a graphics card that a modern day graphics card that works a little bit better.
graphics card prices have reduced to a normal level, and they're also available to buy for a normal price. So
Yes. Thank the Lord. Next up is your favorite, Warhammer
Yes,
40,000
absolutely.
Bolt Gun. Bolt Gun, of course, is what I'm calling Doomhammer, or what was it calling it? War Doomer?
War Doomer.
War Doomer is what I was calling it. Yeah, it's basically a sprite-based copy of Doom. So it's updated, like all the hardware is not the hardware, all the everything is updated on it. It's a modern game, but it's designed to look like Doom, essentially.
Yeah, it looks like a lost 40K boomer shooter from the 90s.
A reskin of Doom with bolters and chainswords.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I'm really excited about that one. I think it'll be great. Like, I love boomer shooters. They're such a. I've actually been playing a Lovecraft boomer shooter called Forgive Me, Father.
Mhm.
And like sometimes it is actually just really nice to just play a game that does not give a shit. It's just like, yep, guns, run from point A to point B and shoot literally everything in between. Like, there's no puzzles, there's nothing. It's just you go from this point to this point. Anything you see, shoot the ever-loving fuck out of it. And it's like, you know what? Yes, I do want to do that.
So I actually did some research on this company because they seem to really like that. They do a lot of their games are pixel based. They're a lot of like throwback looking games. But one of the games I did see that they created was a port of Ogre, the classic Steve Jackson game.
Oh, nice.
And it looks like it looks like an actual like just port of the game, but it looks super cool. I was thinking like I kind of want to get this game. I probably should, but you know, as I say, I'm not playing any games. I'm not doing anything until I move houses.
Ogre.
But it's definitely on there. Like, Ogre, you guys talked about Ogre. I got my original set from 1978. You guys want to do it? It's got a turn-based chit system.
I ain't got any of that. I ain't got any of that reprint shit. Only the original stuff.
It's like I only want to play on the tabletop. Original one. I don't want to actually play on a computer. Because you want to. Here's a weird story. I don't think I've ever told this story on the podcast before. You know, I print minis on my 3D printer normally, and every once in a while I'll run across a person and we'll be talking about something or other, and I'll say, "Oh yeah, well I have a files for something very similar to that." There was this one boomer guy, like old school boomer, who it was like. We were talking. I ended up talking with him about War Master, and I was saying, "Well, I have some War Master files. You know, if you're interested." Somebody goes, "Oh, I'm very interested." All right. Well, here's my email address. You could just email me through here, right? And you know, a couple days later, he emailed me, and we kind of were going back and forth. And he's like, "You know, I can't. I'm not really good with this email stuff. You know, can I get your phone number to give a call?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah, absolutely not.
No, I'm not. I don't talk on the phone to people. I don't do that.
Yeah, I have to do that for my job. If you are not paying me to talk on the telephone, I am not talking to you.
Exactly. But yeah, Bolt Gun looks like it's going to be fun. It's just a boomer shooter. It's not like there's going to be anything that's going to be dramatically.
There damn well shouldn't be. It should be point A to point B, kill everything that's in front of you, pick up any gun you see, shoot the shit out of stuff. That's what it should be.
Yeah, and it actually, one of the things that I do like about it is like looking at the stills and some of the footage that they showed for it, is that it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of walls that you constantly have to ram up against and press the space bar, which is the most annoying part of any boomer shooter.
Yes, that is one of the quality of life improvements that the modern versions all have. They lack that wall that wall humping that the original Doom had.
The wall humping.
I mean, that's what it sounds like. You're like, because you're pressing the button.
We also got we didn't get too much more footage of Space Marine 2. There was a couple things that they showed. It looks fantastic as always.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
It is. I'm very much looking forward to Space Marine 2. It'll probably be the first video game that I buy for the new house. The only difference is that I'm also kind of looking at Guardians of the Galaxy, the game that was released not too long ago, because I've heard really amazing things about it. And they said that like everyone's saying like this game is really good and it should have been better, but the problem is that everyone thought it was an expansion for Avengers, which was that horrible multiplayer game
Yeah,
that no one wanted to play. And Guardians is actually a single player game that works very, very well. So it's like it got killed because everyone thought it was just an expansion pack.
I'm not gonna lie. So did I. I thought it was an expansion to the Avengers game.
There you go. Warp Forge is the card game.
Yeah, that's the one that I was immediately talking about when you said Dark Tide. I got the names flopped around. But yeah,
the same thing. They have a name generator. They roll 2d10 and that gives them the name. Like, oh, Warp and Warp Forge. Good.
Yeah. They could have just as easily have rolled Warp Tide.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Dark Forge. It all works. So they make the Horus Heresy Legions card game,
which people like. Okay. Actually,
yeah, it looks pretty good. It appears that they are essentially. Basically, this will be that card game's 40K to the Horus Heresy Legions 30K.
Yeah,
that's what this is going to be. So this is going to have, I assume it'll be the same type of gameplay that's already in Horus Heresy Legions, but it's going to be, orcs, necrons, marines.
What's the card game, the virtual card game that everyone really likes? Why can't I think of it? I think it's done by the guys who do Warcraft.
Hearthstone.
Hearthstone, yes. I've never got into that ever.
It's okay. There's honestly, I think there's better digital card games out there, but Hearthstone is, it's not bad. Like I wouldn't say it's super shit, but it's not the best. One of the biggest problems I have with Hearthstone is the same thing I have issues with games like Yu-Gi-Oh, where there's no delineation between like faction stuff. So like in Warpforge, and I'm sure in Horus Heresy it's the same, is like if you're playing a Death Guard deck, like you have to use all the Death Guard cards. So like, that's what you have, or like in Shadowverse, which is the Weeb version of Hearthstone, if you're playing the Necromancer deck, you have to use the Necromancer cards.
Yeah, I think it's Blizzard's one of Blizzard's saving graces is the fact that they are always the first ones to really do something that's super popular. So it's just that like, there'll be a lot of digital card games, but it's like everyone's going to go back to Hearthstone because that's where all the players are.
With Hearthstone, they have it separated by classes. So like when you play like a paladin, you can only use paladin cards. But there's the generic cards in Hearthstone. And I could be wrong because it's been a long time since I played Hearthstone. But when I was playing Hearthstone, the really good generic cards were so OP. It was basically like your deck was mostly like those like busted cards plus whichever class interacted with the busted generic cards the best.
Yeah.
So it was but again, it was years ago. So I'm sure the game is completely different from when I was last playing it. Yeah. So, great grain of salt. It was a fun game. There's no I wouldn't begrudge anyone for playing it. It seems fine. This game seems good too. If I've seen the Horus Heresy Legions game looks good, so I assume it'll be the same with this game. It'll probably just be a solid, little digital card game to play. I don't know. I kind of moved away from digital card games, to be honest. They're kind of like a big time sink. They're not really
time sink.
Yeah, and a money sink in many cases. Where
but speaking of microtransactions, next game up is Shoota's Blood and Teeth.
Shoota's Blood and Teeth.
I think it's based off of one of those webtoons that Games Workshop bought up and it now displays on their website. But it looks like I think you said it best. It looks like Lost Vikings, but with orcs.
Yes.
I'm not 100% sure. It's what I really like about it is a side scroller, or kind of a side scroller, but it's definitely side scrolling, but it's got that kind of what's it? Not Solid Gear. Is it Metal Gear? Metal Gear. It's got that.
Metal Slug.
Metal Slug. It's got
that. And metal... that's co-op. You can play 4 players.
Yeah. It's got a Metal Slug look to it, which I really love. Like I love when they showed the Just not Stormbird, the Thunderhawk or the Baneblade. They looked really fucking cool in that style. It's like that's exactly the style that I like for a 40K side scroller.
That game looks like it'll be really fun.
Yeah, as I said, my only problem with it is that it looks like it's going to have a lot of microtransactions. Like, oh, you want to have this gun, you got to buy this. If you want to do this, you got to do this. You got to buy this.
You think so? I don't know. I didn't say it looked like it was just going to be a regular like game that you buy once.
Yeah, and my other problem is that it's definitely looks like a game that should be on your phone but won't be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would love to just sit on the toilet for 10 to 15 minutes playing shoot his blood and teeth, but I'm not going to be able to because it won't be available for my phone. You got to sit down and play it on your computers. So that kind of sucks.
Right.
As I say, I would love to. I want to have more immersive, like actual fun games that I could play on my toilet for 15 minutes, as opposed to like the games that you actually get for your phone, which are fucking terrible. Like they're all awful. Most of them are just like you either have to play for a long time or they just like full of ads and microtransactions.
There is a recent I don't know about recent. I don't even know if I want to say recent trend, but there are a lot of exceptions to that rule if there are mobile ports of big games, like from what Apex Legends is like a really big shooter, and apparently the Apex Legends mobile is just great. It's just the game. Like it's literally just Apex Legends, but it's on your phone, and it's got its own like meta. There's like some of the balancing is different, and but it is just the game. It's not like a pared down weird like clicky phone version. It's like nope, it's Apex Legends. So like there's definitely some games out there, and mobile games have definitely been climbing up in there, but they're by far games like that are the exception. Like most of them are the cookie clicker, like tap your phone for 17 hours, then pay $23 to get 17 coins.
Yeah. All right. One last game, and then we're gonna have to pause for our commercial break.
The mid-season break.
Mid-season break. We have Battle Sector's got an expansion coming out for the Battle Nuns. The Sisters of Battle are getting.
I don't even know what Battle Sector is.
It's a turn-based strategy game for Steam.
Oh, okay.
I'm not 100% sure on it. It looks kind of cool. It's actually got mostly positive reviews, or actually, as Steam says, very positive reviews.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a turn-based strategy game. It kind of has a look a little bit like Dawn of War. So I mean, maybe you might want to check it out. I don't know, but you're the one who's much more of an expert on video games than I am. I don't know. Elden Ring game looks good, and then someone goes, "It's a little hard." I go, "Well, no, not for me."
Elden Ring's definitely easy enough for you to play.
That's what you say because you play those games. But if someone
no.
It could be a little challenging. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to play it.
Elden Ring is a much. There's a lot more to assist you in Elden Ring than any other of the Souls games, by like a massive margin. It's definitely not a game where I would say anyone. I guess like the difference if you as long as you kept playing it, maybe you would have to play it. If the average completion was 60 hours, maybe you'd have to play it for 80 hours.
I'm going to tell you, it's the same exact thing of like when I go to a Mexican restaurant or an Indian restaurant and they ask, how spicy do you want it? I will always say white guy with stomach problems, right?
I would argue that Elden Ring difficulty is probably the white guy with stomach problems issue level for a FromSoft game.
All right.
I would argue that's where it is.
Okay, so we're going to pause for our commercial break and then we will be back with more news.
Let's do it.
Steve is connecting to audio right now. I just wanted to make a Astonishing Legends reference. I don't know if anybody else listens to that podcast.
Recording in progress.
On Astonishing Legends, they always go, and we're back.
And we're back.
I mean, I like that show a lot, but there's a fuck ton of commercials on that show. So that's what, yeah.
Man, I hope we can have a commercial someday. It seems like only yesterday we were slamming Hamish's mom, who I hope is doing well.
I mean, my only problem with commercials, and we found this out through the podcast, is you actually have to do work for them. Like, we don't want to do that.
That's true.
Yeah, like we have to remember to like mention sponsors and stuff like that. It's a pain in the ass.
That you're not wrong. That's I'm not gonna argue that. You're definitely you've got something going on there.
Yeah. All right, so let's finish up the video game stuff real quick. Vermintide 2 is gonna have a Chaos Waste expansion.
Yeah, they're adding Bellicor, which is good. I mean, that game's a banger. It's a solid game.
Yeah, I mean, I got kind of tired of it playing it.
The problem with that game is it definitely has a much shorter shelf life if you're playing it by yourself. The bots can only get you so far. Eventually, you get to the point where like you have to play with people, and playing with randos kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's my feeling of video games in general. They're having Warhammer 40K Gladius. I don't know if you know that one.
That's the Titan game, right?
No. Yes, it is. It's a Titan. What is it? RTS.
Yeah, I think it's a turn-based hex map.
Yeah, it looks like Ogre or BattleTech.
Yes,
I know. I look at I look at some of these games and I'm just like, why don't they just give us Space Marine? Everyone just wants Warhammer Space Marine. Like, just give us that.
I think a lot of those companies license 40K skins to put on games that they've already made. Yeah, I think that's the big thing, because it's like, hey, we made this, mediocre or okay strategy game. How do we get people to notice it on the App Store? Well, we'll slap Warhammer on it.
Slap Warhammer. You slap Warhammer. You slap it.
I mean, it works for a lot of other things. Why not Warhammer?
And then finally, I think the most important thing of all is there is now Warhammer skins for World of Tanks.
More? They had. I think they've done that previously.
Did they? I don't know if they did or not.
I know they did battleships. I know they did World of Warships.
They did do the battleships, because that was the one that that racist YouTuber got in trouble for supporting the racist YouTuber or something.
Yes, that was really funny. I remember that.
Games Workshop basically said you don't, and then they did, and then they got in a lot of trouble for that.
Yeah. The right wing chud got chudded out.
There shouldn't be female Space Marines. Why not?
What do you mean? What do you mean black people are allowed?
Yeah. What do you mean there shouldn't be female space? Of course there shouldn't be female Space Marines. You can't have it according to lore. What's lore? The background of the story. Aren't they constantly rewriting the background of the story? That's not the point. Is it in a baby's game for babies? That's not true at all.
It's a tactical mastery game.
It's a tactical mastery game. And there's a couple other but they're all like those games that you're kind of like, ooh, this looks interesting. Oh no, this looks bad. Like, it's like that type of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, because like the or not kind of weird. I should reformulate this thought. It's interesting to me that all of these myriad games are licensed for 40K and for, I mean, to a much lesser extent, Age of Sigmar, and a lot of cases they're really skinned over oddball genres to me. Like, Age of Sigmar is perfect, absolutely fucking perfect for a MOBA, and there is no Age of Sigmar MOBA.
You know what I always thought Age of Sigmar would be good for? A side scroller like Golden Axe.
Oh sure, a brawler, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
You get like Stormcast, and you have 4 playable races that are on there. You have Stormcast,
the dwarf with the spinning chain axes.
You'd have a Fire Slayer.
Yeah,
you'd have a let's say a Deepkin, right? And maybe a Tree Man. Let's say you have a Dryad, right? The Dryad is like your bruiser, your hands up, like your fucking the guy that's gonna kick in a lot of the Tree Man is he basically could just absorb a lot of damage. He's a tank, right?
Yeah, he's a tank.
Yeah, your Stormcast is your all around fighter. Yep.
He's the 4 out of 5 on all stats.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, he's 4 out of 5 on all stats, and then you have the Fire Slayer, which is the guy who's really strong and good in combat, but can't take a ton of damage.
Yes, no defense. And Stormcast is 4 out of 5 on all stats, 0 on magic.
Yes.
Gotta have that.
Oh yeah. And then instead of a Deepkin, you have a Lumineth wizard, right?
Yes, perfect.
So those are your 4 playable races that you have there, and then like you hover over them, and then you'll have the Stormcast, and then you like go over the Fire Slayer, and he's like, the Fire Slayer. Yeah, and then like that sort of.
And of course, you've got to have the super special move where the guy just goes,
yeah, and like he like glows around him. It's like the chains whip out and hit everything around him.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, perfect. Yeah. So there's no brawler, there's no MOBA. It's just odd that like there's and obviously 40K would be perfect for an Overwatch style FPS game as well. FPS arena game, like absolutely perfect for that. And there's just crickets.
The fact that Warhammer does not currently have a mobile battle royale is ridiculous. Like,
that's also crazy. A Necromunda battle royale would be super easy to do.
Like the amount of money they have left. Oh, you wouldn't do it in Necromunda. You do it with like Space Marines. But the amount of money that you left on the table.
Oh, a Horus Heresy battle royale would make the most sense, actually.
Yeah, because you know what? People like fucking Space Marines. Not like they don't like fucking Space Marines, but they like, they like the fucking Space Marines.
Yeah, you do a Horus Heresy battle royale, makes perfect sense. And then you can even have mobs. Your random mobs could be your orcs and shit. It makes sense.
And it always one of the biggest things that always upsets me is the fact that Battlefleet Gothic is not a mobile game. Like come on.
That game really looks like it should be a mobile game.
It really does. And it pisses me off that it's not, because I kind of want to play it, but once again, I don't want to have to sit at my computer to play a fucking video game.
It's kind of like Shadespire. Like I really like the Shadespire game. I think it's really good. I think it's very fun. I like the graphics. I like the gameplay. It's a very faithful adaptation to the card / minis game. But man, oh man, should that also be available on mobile? Like it really should be. It should be available on mobile with cross-play with Steam. Like it really should be. There's no reason to not open that up to such a huge amount of players. Like the graphics are not that intensive. Like they could run on most modern phones pretty easily.
I was just thinking about the brawler for Age of Sigmar. Like how great would it be to be like Zone 2, Lustria, and then you're like plopped down in a jungle, and it's like these little like Slann, and the lizard men start showing up. You got the Sauruses and the Skinks and Croxdors popping up every once in a while, and you have of course the Stormcast guy jumping up and doing the flying jump kick to try and hit the things and everything like that, and getting potions.
Absolutely.
And then at the end, like the big boss comes out, and it's like a Slann on the fucking Palanquin, and it's just floating around the screen as you're trying to hit it. I'm seeing this in my head, and I'm like, this is a fucking amazing game.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be. It's ripe for it. That's a perfect example of like me feeling that like they have these IPs that just seem to have these like auto slot genres that they aren't filling. Like it's just odd. Or I mean, even a fighting game would work for like Age of Sigmar, like a Soul Calibur style fighting game. That would totally work for Age of Sigmar. Like that would be great. Like just like reskin Soul Calibur as Age of Sigmar, you got it. Like no problem. Like that would be super fun. Like I mean, and people love Soul Calibur. It's like Tekken as well. Like you don't need to be super like sweat lord to like and enjoy Tekken or Soul Calibur. They're very fun to just like grab, run around there.
I like the idea of Soul Calibur. That was a game that I liked a lot. I like the feel of Soul Calibur, but I always kind of see
really good.
I could see Age of Sigmar being more of a Marvel vs. Capcom style, where you have like 100 different characters to choose from. But of course, people only pick like the 3 that are really like the combos that really work together. But
Storm, Sentinel, and Magneto.
Yeah, exactly. You'll pick those 3 all the time. But I mean, yeah, you could have 100 different characters from all the different factions and everything like that. Like even within the Lumineth, you could get, the Cowhammer guys, the Wizard guys, the Sword guys.
My Soul Calibur thought was because Soul Calibur is like the weapon fighter. That's the one where like which really like the weapons are like a big part of the thing. So like it would make sense to me like you could have like the Stormcast like Annihilator with the Great Hammer as a slow bruiser. You could have like the generic Stormcast with the short sword or with the hammer and shield, and then you could have you can have a Savage Orc. You could have an Iron Jaw. You have a lot of variety.
I get what you're saying. I think that would work too. I honestly do.
So it's odd that they're just like at all. It's just like, yep, here's another random card game. Here's another random turn-based strategy game. It's just kind of strange.
Yeah. Here's a turn-based strategy game that filled with microtransactions.
Yeah.
One that I actually did like was the Titan game that they had. The Night Titan game. I can't remember the name of it.
Wasn't that Gladius?
No, I think I might still even have it on my phone. One of my friends texted back after my long Obi-Wan rant, and it was just like, but see, I think that adds flavor to the game. That it's flavored to New Hope. Free Blade is the game. Free Blade. I did like that one quite a bit. It was fun. But once again, I didn't pay any microtransactions, so I didn't get the full scope of the game, right?
Right. Yeah, so and that's the thing too. Like I think a lot of these games are, basically kind of cash grabs. They're like they're not a game that's going to be like. They don't care if you play it for a long time. They're not looking for longevity. They're looking for quick brand name recognition. Hopefully you buy like, $20-$30 in coins and then move on to the next game. I'd like to see either some real, it looks like this recent Skulls presentation it looks like that at least for a bit they're moving in that direction. Vermintide is the biggest example of, and now Darktide. Those are the best examples of really slotting the IP into a genre that really works.
And that's the thing too, is like, and I always tell people that, well, I guess a lot of people do think Warhammer is this grand strategy game, but it is on the tabletop, and that's why people like playing the tabletop, because it is a strategy game. If I'm going to play like Warhammer in media or Warhammer on a video game, I don't want grand strategy. I want DACA.
Yeah, action. You want the action.
I want the acting. I want the,
if you're going to do strategy, it needs to be action strategy, like the original Dawn of War, where it's real time, or Total War, which is like quasi real time. Like you can pause it, but it's still like the combat is still real time. I'm
going to call it the Abnett. You want the Abnett, man.
You want the Abnett. Yeah, you want the
Abnett.
Yeah, you want the Abnett. That makes sense. And I totally agree with that. Because I said Dawn of War is a strategy game, but man, that game was action packed.
I like saying that. The irony is that Dan Abnett tends to put a lot of shit in his books that don't need to be there. As I've been going through the Horus Heresy series, every once in a while I'll come up across a Dan Abnett story, and I'm just like, fucking Dan Abnett throwing in these characters that I don't give two shits about, and that he keeps bringing them back. Like, stop. I don't like this character when you first introduced him. I don't like him now. They're just terrible.
I love it.
Yeah, but I that's what I say. As I say with the Dan Abnett. All right. So that's video game wise, like I think we've covered all of that stuff to the best of our.
Yeah, we hit them all.
Catch them all.
Bolt Gun looks dope. I'm excited about Bolt Gun.
Yeah, I think if the one I'm still looking forward to the most is Space Marine 2.
Space Marine 2 also should be pretty, as the kids say, slamming. I don't actually know if the kids say slamming.
Well, it's going to be great because you get to fight Tyranids until the mysterious third faction shows up at the end and shows that they were responsible for bringing the Tyranids there the whole time.
I wonder if it'll be Necrons.
What's that?
I wonder if it'll be Necrons.
I think the Necrons, though, are like purposely fighting the Tyranids in lore. Like,
right. I mean, like maybe they wake up and they're like, well, we're going to kill you and the Tyranids.
Ah, I see. Like it ends up being a tomb world. Actually, that'd be a pretty cool little twist. I like that idea, Steve.
It's a tomb world. It's like, oh shit, the Tyranids are here, but they aren't actually the threat. The Necrons are.
Oh no, crones.
Crones.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's gonna be really funny because like the first Necron you're gonna come against is gonna be like this bruiser that's gonna take forever to beat, and then every subsequent Necron that you come across just blows up after one hit.
They could actually do some pretty cool combat in that, if they have like the warriors be easy to kill but they come back, like, and you have to find whatever lord has the orb to stop them from respawning.
What would be a really kind of a fun game now that I'm thinking about it? So remember how in Mass Effect you can control your side characters that are with you on the quest?
Yeah.
Remember that? Mm-hmm. So what would be really kind of a fun thing to do would be that with Necrons, do that exact same thing, but you're like trans in the infinite. and you have like a couple like goons on your side, and you could just control them with certain actions, and they go up and take care of stuff for you.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
So like what they do is they basically soften up the enemies, so you could do the slow Necron walk into a room and just like hit a button and destroy everything that's left because you're the biggest badass Necron.
Nice. You know, there was actually a game that came that an old game for 360 called Kingdom Under Fire that I thought would be one of the best games ever to reskin as Warhammer, and I suppose you could do it for 40K as well. But you played Dynasty Warriors, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Is it like Dynasty Warriors, which I always said would be a good fantasy game?
It is like Dynasty Warriors with a couple significant changes. Your character is a dope badass who you control manually. So you run around, you do your combos, you do your cool shit. But you can attach your character to a regiment of your choice. And when you attach your character to the regiment, that's your retinue. They follow you around. In addition to that, there's a full army behind you. So you can pause the game to bring up the battle map at any time and issue orders to the regiments like in Total War.
See, now that's a cool idea. I like that idea.
So you can be like, archers, go here, cavalry, go here, infantry, go here, follow me. And then when you unpause the game, everyone follows your orders, but you are playing your character running around killing the shit out of dudes.
Wasn't there a Dynasty Warriors that was like Gundam? Wasn't there like a Gundam Dynasty Warriors?
There's been 3 actually.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, there's been 3 Dynasty Warriors Gundams. They're pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Dynasty Warriors is like a really like silly game in most aspects, but it's fun to play.
Absolutely. Lu Bu has fled the battlefield.
Exactly. But I think that would be cool. I mean, I do agree with you 100%. That game should be reskinned with Warhammer.
It would make sense. It would be super fun.
And
easy to do.
That's one of the best things about Warhammer is the fact that they've stolen so much from other IPs that their IP just kind of slides into everything.
Yeah, it's an Ouroboros.
It truly is, Steve. It truly is. So one of the other things I want to talk about is the Horus Heresy is up for pre-order as we speak. I've already actually put my name down for one through young Giuseppe. So hopefully he can get me my copy of the new box set. I'm sure he will be able to.
Good luck. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be good.
May the odds be ever in your favor. And that's it. Yeah, that's kind of like the new thing right now. So of course today all the websites are fucking falling apart because of pre-orders and all that stupid things, all that stupid shit.
I'm sure, as expected.
As expected. And I wanted to ask, have you taken advantage of any of the UK deals for the Platy Jubes?
No.
No.
I have not. Are there Warhammer figures on sale for?
No, there are no Warhammer figures on sale for the Platy Jubes. Are you kidding me? But there are several companies that are offering percentages off in honor of the Queen's 70th year as monarch of the UK.
Holy fucking shit, that's insane. 70 years. That's
still not the record though.
Really?
Yeah, Louis the 14th, Sun King, right? almost 73 years. I think it was 72 and odd change.
God damn.
Well, he also became king when he was like 6. So
okay, well that's a little less.
He had a regency period. Like she did not really have a regency period. So
that's a little less. So I would argue that hers is more impressive. But no,
modern technology as it is keeping her alive, and also the fact that she does occasionally find a nice hot rock to sun on during the day that keeps her lizard blood healthy.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, we know she's not a vampire because she's been spotted in direct sunlight.
Yeah. I mean, well, eventually vampires become strong enough, I believe, that they can go out into the sun after enough years.
That is true, but that's like Methuselah level, which means she would have had to have been around since like 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe she was around 1,000 years ago. We don't know. That's records for back then are sketchy at best.
You know what? You're right. She could be a Methuselah power level vampire. This is.
I still believe though that she is a lizard person.
You're going to lizard person?
Yeah, that's why her name is Liz.
I'm gonna go with Lovecraftian entity.
But I can comprehend her without going insane.
But that's only because you're perceiving her projected form.
So it's kind of like Narlithrope.
Yes, exactly. Like if you were to see her true form, you would be rendered a gibbering mess.
Okay. So that would explain Prince Andrew.
Yep. See, you got it. You got my angle.
Yeah, gibbering mess. He molests children, Steve,
Is
and
he
they
dead?
still give him money, taxpayer money.
I thought he was dead.
No, Prince. Oh no, that's Prince Philip who's dead. He was the dried husk of a human being at the end. He was the guy that looked like Max Shrek as Nosferatu.
Ah, very good.
Their kids. Prince Andrew is the one who.
Oh yes,
he was the one who claimed he didn't sweat.
Yes, he's the kid diddler.
Yeah, he's the kid diddler. Yes, or as the British call him, a nonce.
A nonce, I see.
Nonce, nonce.
But I did in no relation to Jubilation Lee, I did acquire a couple bags of Monster Munch crisps.
Ugh.
Which were
I thought you didn't eat carbs anymore.
No, I mean I'm on a regulated diet, but I'm not on keto, so I do have carbs. I just don't have a lot of carbs.
But you'll eat that nasty ass bullshit.
It's so good. It's so good. The pickled onion is fantastic. The roast beef is okay. I'm not as big on the roast beef as the pickled onion. The pickled onion is much better. But they come in really small 98 calorie packages. So I don't mind, snacking on one of those small packages every so
often.
often.
British conquer a quarter of the globe and do nothing with any of the food there. They literally have all their food just boiled or pickled.
What are you talking about? They got Indian curry. They got pita.
They took real Indian curry and then they made it awful. And then don't give me pita. Pita is just bread. Every culture has bread, Steve.
That's why you got to get it. No, what I'm saying
pita is nothing special bread.
What I'm saying is they have the same level of food wizardry as the U.S., where all of the good food is an import.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the fact is they don't import food, though. That's the thing. Is like, why is there stuff called roast beef and pickled onions?
It's good.
The United States, at least, yes, has adopted food from all over the world and come up with a ton of ingenious food in and of itself. But it's
mostly people eat garbage like Hamburger Helper and McDonald's.
Well, yes, but I mean, people aren't eating McDonald's. I put it in like 10 to 15 years, McDonald's is going to be gone.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the fast food landscape is changing, and I think McDonald's is not going to survive, or at least in its current state.
Yes, and now as we know, like, because nobody wants to eat fast food anymore. It's terrible and too expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is like the fast food being actually dirt cheap is gone. Like I can get a fantastic homemade Mexican meal from the burrito place near me. Super delicious, super good. Giant burrito, giant thing of nachos. Actually, I'm getting fucking hungry for that now. I might get that today. Super delicious for like $20. And I'm talking like this is more than this is because I only eat one meal a day, so I eat a giant meal. And it's like I spend like $20 when I go to the Mexican place, and I get a huge amount of food, and it's delicious and fresh. McDonald's is expensive as fuck now. Like I was looking at like a value meal is like $11.
Yeah, it's real expensive now.
That's crazy. $11.
$11. I'd buy that for $1. All right.
I think that shit's absurd.
All right then. Any other gaming stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Conan the Barbarian. Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Do you do the old bunker thing where whenever they do the wheel of pain or whatever it's called, like where you have to stop and say this was a sad time in Conan's life?
Yes.
Every time
I'm in Conan's life.
Every fucking time that happens, I think of Dave making everyone in the bunker shut up and say this is a sad time in Conan's life.
That's right. It's great. But yeah, no, I picked up the Conan the Barbarian 2D20 system from Modifius.
Modifius.
Yes, I wanted to give it a shot because I've been running a Fallout 2D20 game, and I've been really enjoying it. I really like the system. It's pretty easy. Like once you set up your character, it's pretty easy to play. But the game feel, it really captures Fallout. So like I was like, maybe I want to give this another shot. I mean, I love Conan the Barbarian, so I was like, all right, let's give it a look. And so far, super impressed. I'm super
easy system.
Super impressed with it. Yeah, the system is pretty easy to understand. I really like how Conan has so the 2D20 systems, they're very similar across the different IPs, but there is significant differences, and I would say they're very peppered with changes that are flavorfully impactful, I would say. So like in the Conan one, the way you do your character is awesome. I love the way they designed the character creation in this one. Is you have where your character is from. You can randomize or pick all of this as well, but you have where your character is from. So you can be like, my character is from Aquilonia, and if you're from Aquilonia, you speak
Aquilonia. He wears the crown of Aquilonia, heavy brow.
Is it heavy or trouble brow? Trouble brow. Yeah. So you could be from Samaria, and then if you're from those areas, you have like your language, and then you have like a secondary skill that like many people in that area have. So like some of them like
camel punching. Is one of them camel punching?
Technically, yes. There's one of the languages, like, so you could speak Aquilonian, and you might have the secondary language of Cosmopolitan, which is Aquilonia specifically has that. And the way Cosmopolitan works is that you're from a culture that's so it's such a melting pot of different cultures. If you encounter another character who also has the Cosmopolitan trait, you don't speak each other's languages directly, but you have enough, like, you're able to communicate.
Yeah, so it's like me when in a foreign city where I'm like, "Donde está el tacos?"
Yes, exactly. Like you couldn't have a long conversation with someone there, but you could definitely find the bathroom, the tacos, the shoe store.
Yo comprendo. El tacos es aquí.
Yes, the zapateria. So like, yeah, it's like that, which is really cool. And then you have your character's like personality, like, or their like body makeup. So like, is your character like brave, foolhardy, wise? So, and then like that determines which stats of yours are better.
Can I be a phoenix that lives in a shield? And eat pomegranates all the time.
I suppose with your game master's permission, yes.
I want some pomegranates.
Yeah, no, that's the shitty character that has to be wrong that goes against the group. That was the Phoenix in that show, if I'm not mistaken. Probably. That was a character that like had to be added to every animated series.
He was probably just cowardly. I'm afraid, Conan. Give me some pomegranates.
Conan, the adventurer, the greatest warrior ever.
Conan, the adventurer.
And I love that.
Warrior without fear.
Because they couldn't show him stab anyone. He has a magic sword that would banish the lizard men to their dimension, but would do it magically. So he would basically point the sword at them, and they would get sucked into the vortex.
Well, it was made of star metals, Steve.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. That there was a dope toy line associated with that cartoon, by the way. So you get your stats, and then you have your background. So this is like, what was your character doing? So like you could have like, you were a scholar, you were a farmer, you were a merchant, kind of like this kind of like Wifrip style. Yes. And then it goes into what is your character now, which is like your class. So you could have like your character was a merchant, and now your character is, say, a scoundrel, or your character is a warrior or whatever. And it really
scoundrel.
Indeed, it really gives you a fleshed out character with a background that has affected your stats as well, which is really cool. I like that a lot. It also guides and prevents the obnoxious people who come up with a short novella about their character's background. It defeats that. It nips that right in the bud, which I like. The character background novella is like the thing I hate the most about RPG players. I can't stand that shit. It's like, bro, like, your character is level 1. You've come up with a background for like a fucking 8th level character.
There you
like
go.
like your level 1 character, like oh yes, my dwarf went on tons of adventures and slayed a Baylor, and it's like, you're level 1. You didn't slay shit. Yeah, so like that. So I'm glad that it's in there. But yeah, and then the payout's really good. I'm really looking forward to really getting further into the book and picking up some of the other supplements they have. They even have a call supplement.
Ooh.
Which is really cool.
All right, so we're running out of time on this session. Do we have anything else?
That was it, man. I wanted to talk about Conan the Barbarian and Bolt Gun.
And Bolt Gun. Yes, I mean it's pretty much the same thing on that end. I did want to say though that we are going to miss out on the next cast. It's technically scheduled on the 18th, and that's my moving day. So we'll hopefully be able to pick back up on the 2nd of July. And I'll hopefully have the new Studio Arbitrary. I like it. Studio Arbitrary set up in the new house. So I apologize in advance, but there's no way I'll be able to record anything on the 18th. Hopefully, because my internet will be hooked up at that point. I don't even know. Yeah, I got the new house. I'm getting an actual studio to work in, and a game room. Yeah. It's a decent size. Both of them are decent size. They're both like the house we're buying is a 5-bedroom house. And now I know that sounds like a lot, but it's actually because the basement was walled out to have extra rooms in it. Mm-hmm. So the 2 rooms in the basement, which are probably not safe to live in anyway, are going to be my areas for working. So I will share progress with how the new studio and game room will be kitted out in the near future. Probably not for a while. I got a lot of work to do. I got to put in a bunch of shit and do all sorts of craziness. But aside from that, you can go to the Game Classy Facebook page. It's the best way to get in contact with us. Steve and I, though we're not regular Facebook users, we do use the website, the Game Classy Facebook page quite a bit to post memes about the Queens, Platty Jubes.
I will try to reply to you as much as possible. I'm slowly getting the hang of the garbage overhaul that the Zuck did to managing a page.
Fucking awful.
It's so bad. Like, it was so much easier to just use before. In case anyone is wondering why like our engagement is not as good as it used to be, it's because Facebook made it fucking harder.
Made it very hard.
They actually made it harder for me to see your comments. They also made it harder to reply to your comments. Like there's times where I'll bring up a thread because it'll be like, you have a comment on your thread, and I'm like, there's no comment here. But it's because Facebook decided to just automatically hide the comment. So I have to go to another thing that says, show me the fucking comments. I have to click that so it shows me the comment. So then I can see that you were like, haha, butt fart. And then I could, reply with a laughing emoji. But like, yeah, it's I cannot believe how shitty it is. Like, it's so bad. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. I don't know how anyone could use Facebook for I don't know how anyone could seriously use Facebook for business. It's such dog shit. It's absolute dog shit. And people pay the money for that shit. It's fucking trash.
Yeah. But you gotta get that boomer engagement, man. Gotta get the boomer engagement.
Zuckerberg needs to choke to death of my fucking ball.
What we should do, what I would like to do is we should probably open up a what's it called? A Discord for Game Classy. A Game Classy Discord. Yeah, because I think most people are using Discords, and that way we could talk about illegal stuff like most people do on Discord.
That's true. We could open the Game Classy grooming Discord.
Yes, there you go. Game Classy grooming Discord. The sad thing is that we
will groom you into playing Warhammer.
It's the worst thing you could groom a person into.
That's right.
But the only problem with that is that like I already have a Discord name, and I really would find it awkward if someone clicked on my name like while we were talking. They're like, they saw some of the other groups that I'm a member of, and I think that would maybe. Yeah,
they can only see. You can only show mutual servers.
Yeah, so. No, but I mean, if like for some odd reason, like it's like I on a mutual server with someone, and we both kind of look at each other like, Oh.
Well, hey, maybe it'll, it could either be a wink, wink, nudge, nudge one. I mean, mine is like, if you're on any HoloLive server, I'm definitely there.
Well,
but yeah, I mean, my name is the same on Discord as it is on Twitter. So
mine is not. So yeah, there's that. You can also listen to the podcast on the iTunes. You can like, comment, subscribe there on the iTunes, or you can like, comment, subscribe on the YouTubes. That's the best way you can actually help out the podcast, is by increasing those numbers. Not that it really matters at this point, because we're going to keep doing this for until probably you die, in all honesty, because or I die. Actually, it's my death is probably going to be the one that kills it, because your death, and if I die, there's no way you're going to start doing a podcast.
Absolutely zero chance of that happening.
And if you did, it would end up being a little bit like Alex Jones.
There's zero. There's actually, you know what? I would use an Alex Jones soundboard and just record and just set it to just set a random button presses for it, and then just upload that.
There you go.
That'd be the new Game Classes.
So when you die, though, I can continue on with the podcast myself, just ranting and raving a la Alex Jones.
That's true. It'll be the Sad Joe's Alone podcast.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. So Steve, you can also follow me on Instagram at Game Classy Joe, and you can follow Steve at @command_throw on the Twitters. I am not active lately. However, I am active in terms of communicating. So if you want to talk to me via Instagram, you could go ahead, but I'm not posting anything soon, because I haven't touched a paintbrush in over 2 months at this point, and it's kind of killing me on the inside.
I've been painting my Stormcast Strombolis. I've been having fun.
Strombolis. All right, Steve. So until July 2nd.
Seek your fortune in forbidden tombs or upon blood-soaked battlefields. Cast dark and terrible spells of unimaginable power at the price of your soul. Sail upon untamed seas to lands where no human in living memory has walked. Fight for the fate of civilization or barbarism on a savage frontier. Build your own legend in this decadent and violent world. Welcome to the Hyborian Age.
Long before the oceans drank Atlantis. Bye.
Bye.
Game Classy.